Hello and welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review. This time I'm here with set 75249, the Resistance Y-Wing Starfighter. It was released on the 4th of October 2019. Now the 4th might not be the accurate date, but it was supposed to be released on the 4th, that's all I can figure out. It has 578 pieces, is rated ages 8+, and comes with 5 minifigs. Now the 5 minifigs you can see down here are a decent selection. It's got Poe Dameron, Zoe Bliss, the First Order Snowtrooper with cape, an unnamed Teal Astromech droid, and Dio. Which is a strange enough kind of choice because the First Order Snowtrooper I think only appeared in a flash. Now I could be wrong, I haven't watched the movie in a while, but the only screenshots I can find of the First Order Snowtrooper with cape in episode 9 is literally him just walking out of the ship. I don't really think he's that prominent in it, but I think possibly he's new. I'm not really sure much about him. The Astro Droid seems to be completely made by LEGO. We can't really see in canon if there's even a droid in the back of Zoe Bliss's Y-Wing. Dio was, I think, just released in this movie, and of course Poe Dameron just seems to come with all of the sets, so that's probably why we get this minifigure range. The Y-Wing Starfighter, also known as the Wishbone, was a very prominent starship in most of our antagonists' eras. The Republic used the model BTL-B, the Rebel Alliance went on then to use the model BTL-A4, and the Resistance resurrected the Starfighter again with the BTA-NR2 model. Notably, another very common model was the BTL-S3, which had room for a pilot and a gunner. The ship was manufactured by Cohensayer, and though they thrived in the Clone Wars era, the rise of the Galactic Empire rendered them helpless as they were not able to obtain a government contract. Eventually, the Rebel Alliance would start using the decommissioned Y-Wings against the Empire. Once the Galactic Empire had been defeated, Cohensayer recommissioned the Y-Wing Starfighter line with the improved BTA-NR2 or the Resistance Y-Wing. Now just a little look at the kind of sides and back of the box. You've got on the side here, you can see the ship is illustrated nicely there. You've got the typical enough top of the box showing one minifig. You've got the side of the box here with the LEGO Life on it, and of course the bottom of the box is all the small print. Now the back of the box here, you'll see that there's a few little boxes here as per usual showing you little functions. Now it shows you, for starters, you can turn this to release the bombs or explosives. It shows that it comes with spring-loaded shooters, as a lot of these sets do. You can load the bombs in through the top. Seems like an easy enough thing to do. And also the turret has full control, and also then you can see that it comes with a little stand there. You can retract or take out as you see fit to play with or display whatever you want to do with it. It's up to you. We can also then see that all the minifigures are in action and kind of laid out nicely there, and also we get, of course, another angle on the Starfighter compared to the front of the box. Pretty standard enough stuff for LEGO, and it looks like it's going to be a decent enough set. Now I suppose we can just get straight into the review from here. So as per usual, starting off with the overview, you can see that it comes with its 3 torpedoes there for the spring-loaded shooters. It comes with all of its minifigs here in front of you, and it also comes with its bombs there that you can drop from the center part there. The cockpit opens and closes as per usual with any kind of Star Wars Starfighter, and that's pretty much all of the functions. I mean, this kind of like turns and stuff, but that's pretty much all the stuff that comes with it. If you want to say the landing gear also comes with it, that is true as well, because as you can see here, the landing gear is attached, and that's not always something that comes with the LEGO Star Wars Starfighters, but it is definitely, common enough. You can see also that the minifigs come with their respective guns. Zoe Bliss here has 2 kind of musket pistols, if that's what I think they're called. They're the old style looking piratey pistols. You've got a standard enough blaster here for your First Order Snowtrooper. No weapons, obviously, for the droids. A blaster pistol here for Poe Dameron, and it's in silver instead of black, which is really nice to see there. Of course, I'll give you a close-up of that now while I get on to the minifigs. So first up, we have Poe Dameron. And to be honest, it's a nice enough little figure. He comes with his little satchel there, which we've seen in the Indiana Jones figure, in a darker colour. And he comes with his blaster, which, as I said, was silver instead of the general kind of black that we get. And it's very nice to see that
Otherwise, he comes with two faces. His first one is a kind of angry enough looking face, and his second one then is a bit more of a smile, a bit more of a happy kind of face. Getting on to the printing side of it now. Well, actually, just touching on the hairpiece. The hairpiece is nice, but I think we've seen that before countless times. I don't think there's much new with it. I think we've seen it on a few Podamerons already, and we've also seen it on a few normal Lego minifigures as well. The printing is quite nice on this figure. Let me just take off the satchel for you. Now, the satchel doesn't take away from a lot of the print, but it does kind of block it a small bit. So just for the sake of this, I will take it off to show you. The top there is nice because you can see his kind of scarf looking thing here is kind of done very well, and it's also running around to the back there, which is nice to see. You can also see his ruffles in his shirt to make it look more like fabric, and some pockets there in the front, and also more ruffles just to make it look that a little bit more realistic. Moving on then, you can see on his belt piece, you can see a printed belt, and under that you can see the belt going down even further again, because that is kind of what they do in Star Wars. He's kind of a Han Solo kind of character, I think. Happy with the minifigure. There's a nice level of detail to the printing aspect of it, and there's nice additions to the figure as well. Like this pistol in that colour is lovely to see, and also the satchel is nice as a nice piece. I like the piece, so it does kind of bring up the minifigure a little bit, but I don't have a lot more to say on that figure, so we can move on. Next up is Zoe Bliss, which is a really nice figure, although I will say the value of it has dropped a little bit compared to what it should be, because it was released in the Microfighter. If it wasn't released in the Microfighter, this figure would probably go way up in price, because there is a nice level of detail to the print, and also the helmet is completely specific to this minifigure. She comes with her two kind of musket pistols, and I'm not sure if I got that right. I'm not that into guns, so I don't really know what to call them or anything, but yeah, she also comes then with her helmet, and underneath you will see that there is a black head, because she never actually releases her full face in the movie, just her eyes, and I think that's a nice kind of effect, because it kind of leaves her with a level of mystery, a certain level of mystery to her. You can see here that the helmet is two different pieces kind of either molded or glued together. The black on the inside is what we see on the outside here, and these little dots here at the back as well. All of that black is actually from this bit in there, and this is the first time I've seen Lego do something like this, where they have two different parts molded together for the helmet. Late 2020 they released the Mandalorian Razor Crest, which also had a scout trooper using the same technique. I haven't got every set in between, so I don't know if they've done it in between, but again, it is just a very nice thing to see there. Otherwise, the gold part is amazing. It's molded very accurately and very detailed kind of lines and curvatures in here all together. You can just see for yourself there the detail that's gone into this is very, very nice and quite accurate as well. It's very standalone helmet. It's very unique helmet, and they've portrayed it very well. Now, getting on to the printing side of Zoe Bliss. Now, the printing, I think, is just amazing as well, because you can see there all the little lines and details in the torso. It might even be hard to kind of differentiate what's what. So just separating it there for a second, the torso print is very nice. And you can see there, it just kind of runs straight in to the leg print. And I didn't actually see the line that kind of separated it all for a second there, because it's just done that well. It's done very accurately, and it just runs in so smoothly. The gold is really nice there, and you can see even closer again, you can see that the belt is very detailed as well. There's lines on the chest to kind of imitate the style of clothing she wears, and that's great. Also then you can see her neck piece there. It's very nice. The leg printing and belt piece printing are very nice. You can see this is where she holds her guns for whenever she isn't using them. And the back print is more of the same, done very accurately, very nicely, and just quite a lot of detail and quite nice colours gone into this minifigure. Now, I will say the helmet does not have much maneuverability. It can move left to right like the old clone troopers, but cannot really move to the side altogether, because it just kind of pops up with that kind of movement. But yeah, I'm definitely happy with this minifigure because I think the print is amazing. The helmet is just fantastically done, and it's quite a lot of detail gone into it, and the colors again are really nice there. Also, I've not seen these guns before. You've probably seen them in a pirate set, I can assume. But I personally have not seen them before, so that kind of drives up the figure as well, because these are the accessories that come with this figure specifically. They also come with this figure in the Microfighter version. A lovely addition to the set, and so we can move on. Next up, we have the First Order Snowtrooper with cape. Now, in the movie, I don't think this is actually a massive part of the movie, but I think he's just kind of showcased. I think he walks off Kylo Ren's shuttle at one stage, and I think that's all we really see of him. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but just going by the screenshots I've found online, looks like he wasn't that prominent. But the reason they probably added this character into the set is probably to drive up the price a little bit, and also to make it a little bit more appealing. Now we can see here that under the helmet he uses the older style Stormtrooper faces, which is, you know, you can take it as it is. I don't particularly like it because I much prefer what they're doing these days, with the individual heads like that are all kind of unique to each other, which I think is just very nice, because again they are all hired people, and unlike the clone troopers, not the same person. Just to prove, he also has no back print there, which, you know, is very typical for that helmet, for that head anyway. But getting on to the helmet I think is very nice. They've done a very accurate job here for what they can do. Not an awful lot of detail on it, but again, with the figure itself, with the actual Snowtrooper, there isn't a lot of detail anyway, so they've kind of done the best they can. You can see that there is small little dents in here. There you can see them there, just up here beside the black part there, and it's same on the other side here. Little black line running through there, which also runs through those dents I was talking about and forms a little kind of point there. A little bit of ridging in there to make it look a bit more realistic, and again, not an awful lot of detail on it, but they've done the best they can, and they've again printed on these little bits there for a little bit more realism. Now the print on the torso and legs, I really like this because it goes really smoothly into the leg print, like these little parts here just kind of go flowing straight through that belt and straight onto the legs, which is very nice to see. They've done a good job on it, definitely. You can see there's armor there and the little kind of control pad maybe on his chest there, or else it's the kind of ranking badge that they all have in the Emperor, but it might just be placed differently for this figure. The leg printing is very nice to see there. The cape is not the cloth we see, it's actually the more plasticky one and the very impressionable one. So you want to be taking good care of this cape, or else it will literally just form whatever shape you leave it in. So if you want to, like, if you do end up bending it or anything, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to ruin it. But it's definitely a very impressionable cape, and it probably, if you want to use it for play and still keep it intact, I would definitely take off the cape altogether, because it's like paper in the sense that if you fold it, it's very hard to get those creases back out of it. On the back here, you see that there's a little bit more of his armor printed on there, but it's covered by the cape generally, so I don't really know is that all that important. Happy with this minifigure. I think the level of detail on printing again is very nice there, and they've kind of done what they can with it. The only improvements I would make to this minifigure is giving it a lighter cape. It looks amazing, but you're just going to have to take a little bit of care of it if you want it to stay pristine. On now to the Teal Astromech droid with no name. I tried to find out more about this guy before I reviewed him, because I kind of, well, personally wanted to find out more myself, and also wanted to find out more for you guys so I could tell you a bit more about him, but I actually just can't. Apparently it's not even canon that he is or isn't in the series at all. Apparently you can't even really see, is he on the back of Zoe Bliss's Y-Wing? he hasn't existed in Star Wars yet, and to be honest, wasn't named in any databases either, so I'm guessing that LEGO have just taken the initiative to make this themselves just for the sake of adding a droid onto the Y-Wing, because there generally is always space for a droid on a Y-Wing and X-Wing, and there's also a few other starfighters that take a droid as well, generally. He has no back print there, so we can skip across that. The back of the head is minimal, to say the least. Very little done there. A nice little chrome kind of plate of print in there a little bit, but otherwise it is a fairly standard R2 kind of astro droid looking thing. Not an awful lot to say about it. I think they've used the same head for R5, and they probably used the same body as R2-D2, but just changed the color scheme around entirely. Not an awful lot I can say about it. It is definitely a very nice color, but I just would love to know a little bit more about this figure. Very nice addition to the set, but as I said, not an awful lot of information on him, so we'll just move on. Now on to the hardest minifigure to make in LEGO history. This is one piece. It does not come apart. It is not the hardest. That was sarcasm. It's literally one piece. It came like this in the bag and it was finished. There was no building required, although you can pop things on there and make him stand up, because he has a stud underneath him, a hole for a stud rather underneath him. Now the printing on this is again very minimal, just like the back of the Astro Droid's head there, but on a brick this small you can't really expect much. Also, there isn't really that much detail on the DO droid anyway, so it's kind of, it kind of does make sense and is okay. There's not an awful lot I can say about it. Again, it's one piece, so it's not really that intricate or complicated, or, there's two sides that are printed differently, might I add. It is a nice piece. I like how they've added in this figure into the set, because you don't really get him in a lot of other sets. As far as I know, he's only come in one other set, which was his brick built build. And same with Zoe Bliss. I've only seen her in one other set, and that First Order Snowtrooper doesn't look like he comes in an awful lot of sets, so it does kind of seem like a figure dump kind of set, but I'm not complaining because they are nice minifigures. So that's it for the minifigs. Time now for the build. So, on to the build. First I'm going to show you the play features of it, and then I'm going to talk about the design. So first off, we have the cockpit that opens and closes, also with a printed tile in there for a little bit more of a realism, which you kind of generally get on starfighters anyway. Also then it has the turret on the top, which is generally manned by a second pilot or a gunner, as they say. And you can get full kind of range on that. You can put it up and down, straight up in the air, and twist it around, so you can kind of get anywhere you want bar underneath, which is a very nice range. You can really kind of get into it for playing. Now I'm being gentle enough with it, but if you kind of want to go faster with it, this will fall off. So kind of, if you're a kid trying to move it around, it probably will break on you quite a lot. Because kids are a bit more heavy-handed, and in fairness just want to kind of play with the toy. They don't want to have to kind of tiptoe around the set, which is fair enough. But again, yeah, it's not a very strong connection, but it definitely does, for display purposes, look amazing, as it makes the set look a bit more accurate. Now with the opening cockpit, of course, you can fit in a character. You can fit her in with her pistols if you kind of angle them in an A shape from her chest onwards, outwards. But yeah, you can also fit a character in there. Might not be a great idea with this guy because his cape will bend, and again is very impressionable, so it's probably not a great idea to put him in there with his cape. Of course, she doesn't fall out, but she is, I will say, not actually attached to any studs underneath there. They are just tiles underneath there, not plates of any kind. So that is kind of one thing I will say about it. I never really flew ships when I was younger with the cockpit open anyway, so that shouldn't really be a massive deal for people who want to play with it. Also, you can of course twist the droid's head around to put him looking in the right direction for when he sits in his little compartment here. Now on most Y-Wings and most X-Wings as well, you will get this little slot for the droid, and it's almost always done differently. This one, he doesn't really he sticks out from the top there. You can really see him kind of sticking out there, but otherwise, like, he kind of fits in there well. Maybe from this kind of angle you can see his kind of legs there, and that's not ideal, but you know, they've done okay, I think, on it. Again, not great, but it does the job. And again, he does not fall out. You can see here that there is a torpedo in the back there. It fits, if you get it right, it fits 3. But as you can see there, twisting this thing on the back will drop them out, and they kind of drop out with ease there. If you want, you can put your finger kind of here, block it, and then once you're slotting these in, you kind of put in 2 at a time, twist it a little bit to make sure that they're all going in there. And to get the third one in, usually it would kind of pop up like that if you're not going to do what I'm doing here. But if you give it a bit of a wiggle then, while your finger is underneath blocking this, then you can see that there's none on the bottom and 3 on the top there. 1 in here, 1 in here. I think that's nice. If using the same kind of thought as posing your figures inside the interior of a ship and closing up the ship, from that kind of point of view, it is nice that they're kind of slotted, each 1 in here, 1 in here, and 1 in the middle. If you don't put your finger down and you want to put all 3 in, you can put 1 in, twist it, put another 1 in, twist it. But if you want to get the third really in there, it's not going to work. So you put it in and you see 1 falls out. Yeah. On now to the underside of it, because that's pretty much all the playability you can get from the top. You can just, there's not much, but you can take these in for whenever it is in flight mode, and you can hold it kind of anywhere you want, really. It's quite a sturdy set because, again, it is held together by Technic, so you can kind of really just hold it wherever you want. Bear in mind this thing will fall off if you're too rough with it. But yeah, maybe not these parts. But again, they are still kind of sturdy, but after a while, if you keep doing that, they'll all bend and warp and it just won't be ideal. But as I said, you can kind of swoosh it around easy enough, and then whenever you want it to land again, you can put these back out and make it land, which is nice. I like when they add landing gear. It just makes the ship look a little bit more realistic and is always a welcome kind of feature to starships. Last but not least, we have the 2 spring-loaded shooters here and here. They don't have any mechanisms to push them out this time. A lot of the time they do, but for this one, no. It is literally just push on the back of them here, like so, and they kind of fly off. They have good range because they're, you know, a spring, but, you know, I wouldn't really be using them all that much. And to be honest, because they're kind of sticking out the back here, I probably will be taking them out before I display it. Because, you know, as you go to pick it up, you could hit against it by accident. Now, if you're picking it up like that, your finger's going to be in front of it anyway, so probably will block it. But maybe not, like, just something people don't like, something I particularly don't like. I suppose touching on a little bit of playability, mentioning that these bricks are here would be a point as well, because it makes it look like the engines are on, and it makes it look like it's flying. It's just kind of a nice feature to have on there. But that is pretty much all I can say about the play features of it. But I suppose now get on to the display side of things. Starting with the kind of front, I like the way the top is done. I like the way these guns are done. It's a typical enough kind of method, this. It's just a Technic kind of piece in there, stuck in, and then the kind of flick fire missiles without the heads on them, shoved in there. And again, it's a typical enough technique that Lego would use, but again, it's nice to see it in there. Now, as I said, I like it from the top, but the bottom, it's not really ideal. It doesn't really kind of smooth out the same way as it should, maybe. These kind of ridges here, I don't really like to see, but, you know, it is what it is. It's nice and smooth looking up here, and maybe from the side as well, but it's like as soon as you go from the actual full side of it, it looks a bit strange, maybe. The front kind of looks a bit kind of clunky here. Makes it look maybe like it's a bit of a weird jawline or something. I don't know, but I don't know if I'm really happy with this piece either, because it kind of just sticks out, you know. I don't know if I'm happy with the bottom of it at all, but like otherwise I look from the bottom, it's kind of raw underneath the bottom. There's not a lot put into the bottom, but of course they do kind of leave out the bottom function, and there goes one of the spring-loaded shooters. As I said, I will probably be taking them out because they are just so exposed. I do like the top of it. This is nice. It's very, very nice. See these little holes in here to make it look a little bit more detailed. Also these slopes, these little vents here. Some of it is just kind of these bits also. All the bits are kind of poking out, and there's kind of little accents and stuff everywhere, and little tubes everywhere, and knobs everywhere. So it is kind of nice to see that they've emulated that quite well here. It's simple enough techniques, but definitely welcome ones. Little bars going across the whole way and vents there, and it's just, again, very nice to see all of that done. I just really like the look of it. Getting on to the engines now. The engines are actually very, very nice looking. Like this bit was, you make this bit first and then you make this bit separately, but you make 8 of these and attach them all on. So you make 2 of these first, you make this one, then add these on, and then you make this separately then. All in all, it's a nice little fun build for the engines here, and it just looks kind of perfect really. It doesn't, I can't imagine them getting it much better than that. It does look very nice. Also uses interesting pieces like this and this one here, which I've kind of pointed out in my unboxing video, which the link will be down in the description for. But yeah, I can't really say much more about the design. I really do like it from the top, but from the bottom, I think, and maybe from some kind of side angles, it doesn't look the best maybe, but I kind of will be displaying it in a way that I can see the top more so anyway, so that's not really a massive problem for me. But yeah. So yeah, I'm happy with this set. I think it's a nice addition to the collection, definitely. It's an upgrade, I think, from the last couple of Y-Wing Starfighters that we've seen. Okay, bar the UCS version, but you know that doesn't really count in this sense because it's a different range altogether. But yeah, it is a very nice set. Like the build was nice. It wasn't that interesting really, maybe apart from the top bits here. It was a very satisfying build, and I enjoyed it. I did. It wasn't like any crazy techniques involved in it now, but you know, it was still a very nice kind of build. I really like the minifigure selection in it also. Again, I think it's a little bit of a figure dump set because it just throws figures in here. Yes, from the movie, but figures that don't really fit with the set. But again, the set doesn't really fit with anything else either, and you can't really just sell the set with one figure and a droid. It's not the way they do things these days, and thank God for that, because the figures are great. So that pretty much concludes my review of this set. It's a nice design, could be improved on, but it definitely is an improvement from the older Y-Wings. There's a nice minifigure selection, a decent amount of play features for what you get. I mean, for the sake of it, it's not that expensive, so you don't get an awful lot of playability, but it's sturdy, it shoots things, and it flies well, and you can fit figures into it, which is kind of all you're looking for really with a set like this. And also comes with a few kind of surprise minifigures, in the sense that it kind of comes with extra minifigures in a way because they don't fit the scene. I will say there's a few faults in the design a little bit, as I pointed out earlier on. Also a few flaws in the kind of playability points, like for example the spring-loaded shooters being so open on the back and this being a little bit fragile. Also these will kind of bend out of shape if you kind of hold on to them too much, or if you bang into anything with them. But otherwise it is a kind of nice design. Thanks a million for watching my video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And leave a comment in the comment section down below if you think there's anything you need to say. Thanks a million, guys. See you again. Take care.